Now, you'll know if you watch the channel regularly that we often do updates on Motor Yacht Nord. We tell you about movements, and mainly because the vessel is often seen with AIS switched off. But anyway, the reason why I brought it up today is because last week, we had a letter. And we had a letter from somebody who proclaims to be connected to the yacht. And I'm going to read it to you now. So it says, "Dear Sir, you don't know me and I don't know you. I do not profess to have the knowledge you have about the yachting industry, but I do know more than you will ever know about Nord. For some reason, you seem to have a fixation regarding Nord and her AIS. You recently reported that Nord was on her way to the Maldives, as stated in her AIS, and then today you have reported that she was spotted in Ra Atoll without her AIS being on. Have you ever stopped to think why she turns off or stops her AIS from transmitting? It's down to people like you. Can you imagine being a crew member on Nord who suffers abuse from passing boats or has things like eggs thrown at the yacht after they have just washed her down? She's a very large yacht to wash. It's people like you who bring attention to the location of the yacht, thus facilitating these actions just for clicks on your channel. To be honest, no one cares about sanctioned super yachts anymore. It was a cool news story a few years ago. The US government has closed the kleptocapture division because they don't care anymore. No government is interested in detaining any other Russian super yachts. These have become financial millstones around their necks, with all expenses paid for by the taxpayers. I think the Italians have had it worse. So please be kind and stop vlogging about Nord. No one is interested, and the crew will thank you if the abuse stops." Some interesting things in there. Now, one of the things you're probably thinking is who would send this email. I talked about it with our members over the weekend. I said that I believe that somebody on board who would send this, the only person really who would send this on board would be the captain. Nobody else would feel entitled enough to feel like they could just take it upon themselves, like a deckhand or something would take it upon themselves to send an email like this, knowing that, you know, if it comes out, i.e. on our channel, that they're going to be doing a big sweep of who's sending emails on behalf of the vessels. So if it's somebody on board, it's most likely from the captain or somebody who has permission from the captain to send that email, right? Or it could be from somebody like owner's representative. So from what we've been told, is a lot of the crew on board are still British and other Western countries, which is interesting, isn't it, considering who the owner is. So let me tell you a little bit about a company called Sevestal. It's the biggest steel supplier in Russia, and they supply more than 10 grades of steel to Russian defense industry enterprises. In particular, armored steels for defense purposes. They're used in the production of armored personal carriers. In addition, steel is going to the construction of the Russian Navy, supplying steel to Sevmash plant, the Yantar plant, and the Admiralty shipyards. I'll give you an example of what they build there. The Yantar plant has built frigates like the Admiral Makarov, the Admiral Grigorievich, and the Admiral Essen. These are all Russian warships, and they carry Caliber missiles, which are used to bombard Ukraine. Now, the list doesn't end there. Assault rifles, machine guns, grenade launchers, other light weapons can be made from steel from that plant, from the Sevastopol plant, right? Now, I'll put a list on screen as I'm talking here of all of the weapons that are made from the steel that comes from that plant. If you're watching the person who sent me this email, the reason we have a fixation, as you put it, on Motor Yacht Nord is because in 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, the European Union sanctioned Sevastopol's majority shareholder, Alexei Mordozhov, who's the owner of Nord. 28th of February 2022, he was sanctioned, and this forced the company to cease its steel shipments to Europe. Now, in 2023, Sevastopol was included in the sanctions list of Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, United States, and according to British authorities, the company is and has been obtaining a benefit from supporting the government of Russia by carrying on business in a sector of strategic significance, namely the Russian extractives sector, and PGSC Sevastopol is owned or controlled directly or indirectly by a person involved in obtaining a benefit from or supporting the government of Russia, namely Alexei Mordashov. That's from the UK government. According to the Australian authorities, measures against Sevastopol and other sanctioned companies aim to slow Russia's war machine. Mordashov is sanctioned, like I said in there, but there's more. EU, Ukraine, Canada, Switzerland, Australia, Japan, and New Zealand. So of all the people I look at who are on the sanctions list, he seems to have more sanctions from more countries than anybody else. So he's tight with Vladimir Putin. He was given the Order of Merit for his work after the war started. When a German writer was writing a biography about Vladimir Putin, Mordashov, through a series of companies, paid that man 600,000 euros. For what reason might that be? You may wonder. You know, obviously he wants a flattering book to be written. So, you know, that's some of the reasons why we have a fixation on Motoryacht Nord and her movements. Everybody who works on board Motoryacht Nord, everybody who works for that vessel, whether it be directly or indirectly, i.e. through management companies or, you know, owners' representatives, they're all getting paid with money that's been made from the war in Ukraine. Right? So there's a few reasons for you why we have a fixation on Motoryacht Nord. Now, if we just look at Nord itself, the vessel's been regularly sailing around with the AIS switched off, which is designed as an anti-collision system, just like the planes have. So they're making it dangerous for other vessels by sailing with the AIS switched off. Clearly, they feel that there's a threat to that vessel from Western authorities, hence them switching it off. It's not because they're worried about people with eggs. That's ridiculous. Also, even if people are throwing eggs at your vessel, it could be worse. It could be drones with bombs on it, you know. It could be other things. And I'm not saying that should be happening. What I'm saying is it could be worse for your people, because look what's happening in Ukraine like right now. They're not getting eggs thrown at them. They're getting missiles thrown at them, bombs, and you're getting shot at with weapons and all that kind of stuff, which is made from steel from the owner of Nord's company. There's a lot of reasons why we have a fixation on Motoryacht Nord. Also, if the vessel is still crewed by mainly Western people, the Russian flag state regulations state that the captain and the chief engineer of a Russian flag vessel must be from Russia. So if they're not, then there's another law that they're breaking. Although, you know, I don't suspect that the Russian authorities will be getting onto that vessel because he's a buddy of Vladimir Putin. So, hi, thanks very much for watching this video. If you want to see the full news videos, click on the link over here. And if you'd like to find the channels, you can find the links below here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.